All right, everyone. Hello, welcome back. You see the title of this video, you see the thumbnail. Today, we will be doing a reading on whether the, hold on, let me get this right, if the Bohemian Grove is really a cult and what do they do there? What are they doing out there? If you've never heard of this, the Bohemian Grove cult, whatever, they do these rituals in the red, I think it's called the Red Mangrove forest that's out. Okay, so anyways, the Bohemian Grove cult is something where they practice in, I forget what is the name of this. It's someplace in California with the redwood trees. They practice. I think I want to say it's a redwood forest or something like that, where people have accused them of, child. They have had prostitutes come there before. They decide on the fate of the world here at the Bohemian Grove. They worship some weird owl symbol. I think it's called Malak or something like that. They do Druidic rituals. They said the Manhattan Project was originally formed there. You can see some of their symbology, some of their secret codes and messaging on the US dollar. They do weird little sexist plays. They, do something about, you know, they discourage business talk from being there because it's a retreat for a 2 week thing. But that kind of conflicts with the whole thing of them apparently being in charge of kind of dictating how the future of the world is going to go. That doesn't make sense to me. But people believe in them and believe the Bohemian Grove cult is a thing, that they still kind of practice and meet up. They still kind of dictate the world. They kind of a secret society, something kind of up there with like the Freemasons or the Illuminati, or you name it. The shadow government that's within our government is up there with that. And so I thought it would be interesting to do a reading on that. But let me get my disclaimers in. This reading is for entertainment purposes only. As you can see, as I was relaying a lot of this, other people have reported this, and I am simply doing this reading off of hearsay, allegations, speculation, rumor, other people's opinions. Everything related in this video will be based off of my opinions and intuition. It is nothing to be taken as fact, to be taken to heart. It is all for entertainment purposes only. I would like to reiterate that. So I just want to kind of give that tidbit. I want to give you some background on who the Bohemian Grove cult is, why people believe that they, are a thing. You can simply type it up on Google on why people believe in them, believe that they exist, and kind of like other weird occulty things that they have done. So we're going to just do a reading on that and see if it's all really true. And then on top of that, we're also going to get into kind of like maybe knowing a bit more on why they were created and what they're still doing, if they still do exist, allegedly. But, without further ado, I would like to welcome back everyone who has been here before. Hello, Misfits. If you are new here, grab a seat, get some tea, and enjoy the vibes. With that, I would like to get into this reading, so let's get into it. Okay, so let's just count these. I mean, not count these, but, note these. We have the Prince of Wands, Fortune, and the Magus. So we do have the Knight of Cups here. Can you all see that? The Knight of Cups, and the Six of Swords, which deals with science. But this also brings in a sense of religion, things that are unknown, the mystical as well, because we also do have the Aquarius underneath here. So to me, it kind of brings forth like alchemical, like alchemy to me is kind of like the answer for or the study in science that we use when we're trying to explain things that are magical or that we don't quite have a name for yet. Of how people can kind of create things out of nothing. It seems like alchemy seems like. Oop, I did not mean to pull this out, but I feel like we should note this. The Ten of Cups, satiety. But then we also have the Knight of Disc. But without the satiety being at the bottom of the deck, because remember it was one that flipped out with the Knight of Disc, I just put it at the bottom, but we do have Dominion here. So I think there is something here about, I think there's the Redwood Grove is cult or whatever. I think, or the Bohemian Grove cult is something that was born out of people trying to answer something of the occult, in a sense of like, okay, people say, turning, just say for example, turning a regular mineral, a rock, into gold is magic, but really there's a science behind it. There's a way we can actually make it happen. And so I think it's two differing factions that are arguing and fighting for, okay, you argue for the basis of those who believe that magic is a real thing and it should be a study within itself that we should pay attention to. And the faction of the Knight of This, you are arguing in the fact of science that no, the magic isn't real. It's just something that we have yet to explain, it, that we have yet to master, or that we have lost in this, in a way. And you are here to debunk what they do. And they kind of just meet up and kind of compare notes. That's what I'm getting. But again, Dominion is here as well. So it makes me think that it's kind of like, who will come out the winner? I think it feels like a friendly competition. Doesn't feel like an actual butting of heads. We also do have the High Priestess here. And remember, the High Priestess also speaks to a study of, when I think of the High Priestess, she does speak to the study of the physical realm of things that's the here and now, but she also sees behind the veil and know that there's other things that's going on. So it could be a dominion here of kind of trying to hone or rule a certain, it just feels like a certain element, a certain god, a ruler. This also makes me think of, remember I was saying that there's some kind of like sacrifice that happens, or not sacrifice, but a worship of a deity. I feel like the High Priestess is speaking to that as well. And again, we have another knight as the other underlying card here. We have the Knight of Swords and the Hermit. And the Hermit usually also speaks to going off to study on your own as well. That kind of brings you up on that kind of energy. And then we also have the Empress as well. Is there something here with kind of trying to discover a female deity? I'm going to put those to the side for now. I don't know if they're still on the screen, but I'm going to put those off to the side. And we're going to get into why. We're going to get into the... I don't know, which one do I want to use? What are they still working on now? Bohemian Grove Club. Okay. Guys, you see that? Osiris came out. God King of Duat. Commitment, acquisition, responsibility. It would make sense that it goes back to something that old. We also have exile. And is there one more card in regard to the Bohemian Grove Club? This one kind of wanted to come out, so let's just read it. So think about the cards that we have here that fell out. And we're dealing with a secret society that has been rumored to do that has been rumored to worship an owl, that has been rumored to do child, that are rumored to dictate how the world is going to go. They have been rumored to not conduct business there, but just all these other factors. And remember what I was saying, it's two conflicting factions that are working together to discover where science and where science began and magic ends, essentially. Where is the line? Because you say it to me, this is what I'm thinking. We say we are going west, but where's that line at where essentially west starts to turn into east? Where's that line where we say we're going north, but eventually it starts to go south because now you change your direction? To me, it's finding that they're on like a kind of like a linear line of like, okay, magic is here, science is here, but we need to find that boundary in the middle where it stops being science and it starts being magic, and vice versa. And so remember those cards that I'm pulled, and then we have Osiris, and then we have the Exile, and then we have Thanatos. To me, essentially, when I think of the story of Thanatos and Osiris, they were exiled. Osiris was betrayed by his own brother, and he was sent to, right? That was Osiris. Okay. So again, we have Osiris, who is like the original, yep, like I said, he was like the original symbology of death and rebirth. Remember that linear line I was talking about? When does death start to turn into birth? When does birth turn into death? And so I wonder if the line here that they're dealing with is something dealing with the occult, the dead, is dealing with something kind of like, because we also have Thanatos here as well. And, in Greek mythology, he is the one who kind of ferries the dead across when it's time to happen. Osiris had to be, he was betrayed by his brother and was torn apart. And his son and his wife was the ones that worked together to put him back together. And so you also have completion support, expediency, strategy, failure, and trauma. They're both kind of like those weird, oddly guys that people don't really think. I know people think of Osiris, but people don't kind of really think of them as the main heroes of the story. You usually think of like Horus and you think of Isis when it comes to Osiris' story. When it comes to Thanatos, you usually think of Hades. You maybe think of Nyx because that's his mother. You don't typically think of Thanatos. You get what I'm saying? They're kind of the more hidden, the background kind of factors that deal with the life and death cycle. And so then you also have exile. So things are kind of like, again, those failure, trauma, things that you kind of want to put to the side. And so Osiris and Thanatos both deal with kind of birds. Remember, they also worship something that deal with a bird. Is it starting to make sense here? I hope I'm not just rambling. I hope it's starting to, I'm trying to draw some parallels, some lines here for you without saying outright what I'm getting. But it makes sense, right? And so if this is a secret society, they worship something with owl. They do probably do sacrifices. If they do deal with something with the whole sex parties, that would make sense. Birth. If they are something that's controlling the way the world is going to go in the future, but they're saying you can't discuss things of like your typical mundane business. Like the only business that's to be discussed here is the science of it all. It kind of makes sense, right? And again, the underlying one that we have for the mausoleas, we also have Mistress of Harmony, mediation, communication, and culture is the underlying card. Interesting, right? So I'm inclined to believe that this probably is a secret society, but I don't think, to me, it doesn't feel like the initial intentions of the society was wrong. I think, again, like with most things, you probably have those bad actors that come in and take it the wrong way. They go about it and mess it up for everybody. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, those just wanted to come up in the reverse. So again, we have envious gluttony here. So again, like I said, I think that speaks to there is um someone is trying to step into shoes that is too big for them to handle. Maybe they're under some kind of new leadership. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. And then we also have parasite, and then let's see. I think somebody isn't liking the way somebody is ruling things, and I think they would probably think they would be better at being in control of the club. I think somebody feel like that whoever is leading the charge now is not in alignment with what the club was originally created for, and they've kind of taken them off their square. Am I getting nothing else from this? Yep, there we go. And then we have Perchance to Dream. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen that show. Oh my God, it was on Netflix. I think it was something, the guy's name was Dream, and then he was also siblings with, was that Jealousy and Death, and oh my God, what was the other siblings? But he was eventually caught at the, at the beginning of the series, he was caught, and people couldn't sleep, and so some people fell into like comas for forever and things like that. I hope y'all know what show I'm talking about. If I can think of it, I'll pop it back in here so you know which one I'm talking about. It'll show up on the screen here. But when I see the Perchance to Dream card, it makes me think of that, of like, there's something on the other side here. There's politics ruling some way of living that is not quite what we see here, but this kind of bring the whole occult thing here, because remember in that show it was also based off an occult. The man was hoping to catch death in order to prevent his, to bring back his son. It was his favorite son that he wanted to bring back, but he ended up catching Jeff's sibling Dream and caused all this other stuff. And this kind of, to me, reads like that. If you ever seen that show, this is what's coming to mind for me. And so lastly, let's see if we can get a bead on what they are currently working on now. Should we be afraid of the Redwood Grove cult? That's what I'm gonna say. Should we be afraid of what the Redwood Grove Club is currently working on? Should we, as the masses, the public, be afraid of what they are working on? Well, that answers it. They're definitely protecting a secret. I think they probably are afraid if the public was to find out. And this could also read that the public should be afraid of what they are doing. Um, it's funny here we have the koala bear, and again, allegedly they are known, especially with the koala bear and her baby. Remember, they are accused. Well, I'm not gonna say accused, but rumored to children. So I wonder if we need to protect our youth. It's something about this, again, it's a secret society, so of course there's certain things that they do not want us to know. They are trying to keep from the main public, but I think we should fear what kind of like they're working on and doing. The underlying cards here, we do have confidence. Peace is in reverse, mind you. Peace is in reverse. So they're not working towards peace now, but they're confident in something. They're definitely collaborating. Oh, there go defend again. And balance is also in reverse as well. I just want to point that one out. Intentions, yep, they're going about the wrong intentions. I think they've gone off the path. I don't know who's kind of like ruling them now, or what's kind of throwing them off their square lately. But I think right now, I think if I would have read this probably say 20 years ago or something, like 10, 15 years ago, I think it would have been under a different kind of leadership, and we probably wouldn't have much to fear because they probably were leading in the right direction. Actually, no, I'm gonna say 50 years. If I had probably did this reading probably say 50 years ago, this probably would have been different. It wouldn't have been something to fear. It would have been under a different management, so to speak. But I think who's ever managing it now is not doing it for the best intentions. They're doing it for nefarious purposes, and things are not in balance. They, I think, if going back to this envious gluttony, I think power hungry. I don't know how to explain it. Someone has gotten power hungry off of this. And mind you, let's go back to Dark Mirror Oracle. We also have today for tomorrow. So to me, this reads like this is something dealing with. I would say they are dealing with dimensions. Is the word I want to say. Like this is dealing with something with different planes, dimensions. Yes, let's say planes. Planes feel better to me, not dimensions. It feels like they are dealing with things, playing with things on different planes, on different fields. And maybe some of it isn't in the best of way. Because again, I'm just going back to that show. Oh my God, I wish I could remember the name of that show. But it just reminds me of that show of like the guy was trying to prevent his son from dying, and so he was doing all of this occult work and rituals and things like that. I think he was also a doctor as well, or a plague doctor or something like that at the time, and he was trying to keep his son from dying, and his favorite son from dying. And he did all this ritual work to try to call death in, but ended up calling in sleep. And sleep was captured, and it caused all these people to kind of like fall into different nightmares. They took his mask and all this other stuff and was using it for their own nefarious purposes. He broke it up, and people were being cursed by these objects because they did not know what they were doing with them. And this is really like the plot that is coming to mind for me. Like they think they know, but they don't really know, and they're playing around with this, and they're being led astray because of power, essentially. And that should not be surprising when you kind of deal with some of these, when you're dealing with even organizations today. You get certain people in certain positions of power, and it's like, okay, well, I started this company out with the best of intentions, but instead now I'm steady cleaning up mess instead of leading us forward like we should be, because we lost sight of the target. And so this is pretty interesting for this reading. um Pretty interesting. I didn't think I was going to get all of this. But like this video if you like this reading. Would comment below some things that you think the Redwood Grove Club was created for, and kind of like what you think is going on. Who do you think their leader is? What are some rumors about them that you've heard as well? Share that down below. Share this video if you care. Subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. And with that, I will see you all on the next one. Bye.